All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Doctor Who. I am Josh, and with me, as always, is my co host, Jack Phillips. How's it going,
Hi there.
JP?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How about yourself?
Not too bad at all, thank you. We were just saying before we started, it feels like a fucking age since we sat down and recorded one of these. I think nearly 2 weeks.
Nearly 2 weeks. Yeah, nearly two
Yeah,
weeks because we did
because
we recorded two back to back, which
we
was
banked a couple. An
yeah, which was
intense
good at the
week that
time.
was, yeah.
It was good at the time. But the problem is, it has now been quite a distance between since I watched episode 8, to recording it now. So I'm glad I've written some detailed notes. Is all I can say.
See, I was clever. I only watched it last night, so it's still very fresh in my mind. But before we jump in, just a thank you to everyone that's engaging. I know Bradley Fuller runs the TikTok account. He's absolutely fucking killing it the past couple of weeks. Thank you for everybody that's engaging and watching and liking and commenting. Thank you to V, who she was doing our artworks for a little while. She can't commit to every week, so we've got someone else who I think we're all 50-50 on. He doesn't listen to the podcast, it's fine. We're all 50-50 on. So if you could leave a comment when you see it on Friday, do we stick with this guy? Do we try someone else? Let us know your thoughts. And yeah, just a general thanks to everyone, really.
Guys, look, I can't. It goes without saying that we really, really appreciate the sheer amount of love, and kind of, the interaction as well. It's been absolutely brilliant, and it's encouraging for us because it knows we're obviously, for us, we know that we're obviously doing the right thing. And as I always say, if you guys have got any suggestions or anything you want us to say or talk about, just let us know. We're right across the socials. I would say Twitter now, but they've gone for a stupid name of X instead. So. How long that
That's
lasts,
such
who
bad
knows?
marketing, isn't it?
Oh
That's
no,
just the
we're
worst thing I've ever heard.
we're not going to get into this because I could go for hours, much like you last week. I could rant for hours on it. But yeah, no, guys, as I said, thank you for all the love. Keep following us. We'll keep you updated, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. And actually, we're not sure how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to have a guest on. We're going to have a guest on Raquel. She's going to be joining us to talk about this episode, Father's Day. Depending, we haven't actually recorded that bit yet, so depending on how long it is, we will either snip it in very discreetly to this episode. You won't even notice, other than the fact that Jack won't be there, or we'll just release it as a bonus episode, sort of later in the week for you guys. But yeah, keep an eye peeled for that. You'll hear a dodgy edit. You'll potentially hear a dodgy edit a little bit later in the episode. But Jack, talking of episodes, should we jump straight in?
I think we should. I think we should. And I've got to say, got off to a bit of a gloomy start for me. It's all very,
Ooh.
yeah. It was straight, straight off the bat, off on a gloomy start. And I suppose that's kind of I mean, looking at the overall episode in general, it's one of those things that you look at. It is a nice, sweet episode, but the underlying thing is Rose's dad's dead, so it's not exactly the most, kind of, happy episode, shall we say?
No, totally
But
agree. You
yeah,
actually
but the first
called this way back in
I
season
called it.
one, way back in episode one, I think.
I
Yeah.
saw it. I saw it. It just, I don't know. It was either that he'd run away and then they weren't going to talk about him, but I just didn't feel like that was the dynamic that was in Rose and her mum's flat. So yeah, no, I'm glad I called it. Actually, I've got to say I was really happy with that. I was when I saw the next this time next week, I was like, yeah, called that one. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be my once a podcast. But
No, fair enough, mate. So yeah, so gloomy start, like you said. Jackie telling Rose about the dead dad, and big paradox episode. I was making low. I hadn't watched it for a while. Straight off the bat, I fucking love this episode. I think it's a damn
oh,
good episode. What did you
it
think,
is
JP?
good. It's the thing with this episode. It's everything that you want from a kind of a time traveling story.
Exactly,
You want
exactly.
that kind of messy paradox that's kind of borderline, kind of looks on the kind of the realms of like kind of what classes as good humanitarian, like the way you act and everything like that. And I just loved it. I just thought it was brilliant. And I think the kind of the constant threat they gave as well. They were in a building, but the building was only going to hold for so long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
It's
love
a
it.
clever.
I just love it.
Yeah, because it's sort of like it's called like a bottle episode where it's to save the budget. They stick it in one room or one location like that, And yeah, it really does do a good job of building the tension. But I mean, I haven't
Yeah.
seen your notes for this week, JP. Do you want to run through your notes and we'll sort of break it down?
Yeah,
I guess in
we'll go through the
chronological order.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go chronological order for the episode. The next note I made was it looked like the Doctor was playing with a futuristic Rubik's cube, which really made me chuckle because it made me think that actually he's probably way beyond, kind of the knowledge to just solve a normal Rubik's cube. So maybe there is a futuristic, Rubik's cube out there. The
That's a good
Rubik's cube
point. Yeah,
point
because you can
like
you see
2.0.
yeah, because you see he reads books in like seconds. I think they do that in a couple of episodes. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it would make sense. Like he would probably solve a Rubik's cube like that. So I did like when he's when she's asking him, can we go and see my dad? And he's like, and she sort of plays it off. She's like, it doesn't matter if you can't do it. And then he instantly he animates a little bit. And he's like, I can do anything. And it's a
Mm.
bit like, should he have he could have avoided this entire episode if he was being sensible, but he was being a
You know
show
what?
off.
That actually is part of my point. The part of the point I made is, should the Doctor have been responsible and not let them go back to that? Because you got to
Exactly.
look at it from him. He has a certain level of responsibility to say, look, this is what we got to do, and it's not only just about keeping him and Rose safe. It's also about keeping what I'm assuming is the timeline safe as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly. It's the butterfly effect. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
that's it. Exactly. And that was something that was right in the back of my mind the entire thing. It was like, should the Doctor have seen this coming, and should the Doctor said, look, I appreciate you want to go back, but I can't take you back, because
yeah,
only he could say
exactly.
no. That's it. And I was to say the other thing that was also in the back of my mind right at the start of the episode was, of course, they never actually show the hit and run driver at the start, and
Yes, you're right.
really
You're
thought
right.
I really thought it was going to be Dr. Rose that run him over for some stupid reason.
Oh,
I
that would
thought
have been a
I,
twist and a
I,
half. Yeah.
I genuinely, I was expecting them to kind of go right the way through to the episode, and they'd be like, "We've got to kill the dad to stop this paradox going." And I
Yes.
genuinely was expecting them to step out the car and just be like, "Well, we did it." And I was just like, and they didn't do it, and I was a little bit gutted, but then I was like, actually, the way it ended was quite a nice, a nice way.
No, it
But
was
yeah,
all
no,
right,
very,
wasn't it?
very
Yeah.
interested episode.
Yeah, no, really cool. So yeah, yeah, I mean back to the 80s basically. Um I think it looked like I believed it was in the 80s to be fair.
Well, I mean, the note I put was, with the set designers, they're obviously sat around having a cup of tea or whatever set designers do, and they're like, right, we need to make this look like the 80s. Anybody got any ideas? And then someone went, right, what do you think about the 80s? Maggie Thatcher. Brilliant. Slap her on a poster. Put the camera past it. That's the 80s right there. And it was just so on the nose. It was like, oh, okay, yeah. Obviously, they're trying to make a point that this is the 80s. Not none of the clothing, the cars, or anything like that. They were like, no, just put Maggie Thatcher on a poster, have the camera pan right across the poster, and then everyone knows it's the 80s, which did make me chuckle.
No, I thought it was a pretty bang up job to be fair. Apparently, all they had to do was remove some satellite dishes from the sides of houses, and that was enough
Yeah.
basically because that's how fucking dated London is at the minute.
Oh, don't.
Well, I say at the minute, 20 years ago. It hasn't changed much in the past 20 years either. But yeah,
No,
I
that's true.
just speaking of set design though, the car that Pete drives, that old clapped up banger.
Yeah.
There's it's when I was doing some research, it's D-Reg, which means that it was about a year old at time of recording. So Pete has no respect for his stuff because it does look like an absolute clapped
Oh
out
yeah.
motor. But
God, dear. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a bit of a risky hint here, JP. Talking of posters, did you get the Easter egg this week?
No, and that's a good question because I don't think I got it for a poster.
Interesting. Interesting. It was a very subtle hint this week, but it was in there. And that was a little bit of a clue that it was poster related. You're now not allowed to rewatch this episode to be looking out for it, by the
Damn.
way.
Nope.
So yeah,
I'm
set
like,
design
okay,
was good.
yeah, yeah. No, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
That's
fair enough.
very annoying. Of course, then the kind of the dad gets run over. They sit there and well, they stand there and they watch, which again is quite a horrific thing to be watching. To be honest, I'm not sure it's something I'd want to see. I get the point that she wanted to be there with with her dad after he'd been hit and as he died. But I mean, would you want to stand there and watch it?
Yes. No, I totally agree. Yeah,
You
like
would.
hide round the corner,
Oh,
wait for it to
oh,
happen. No, no, I
just the
don't
way you
want to
went.
watch my dad get hit by a car. No,
It's just the way
that's
you just
not.
went yes, and I was like, oh,
No,
okay,
no,
wow.
no, 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 no. Touching wood, I never have to see that happen. But no, I like.
Yeah,
Yes, I agree with you. Hide around the corner, let the doctor be on watch, and then send Rose out, or something
yeah,
like that. I think would be better.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was a bit of a kind of a weird thing. But then, of course, they never actually show him get hit by the car. They show the vase, like, or the vase, depends where you're from, smashing. But the kind of the track record that Doctor Who has had so far with the skeletons and the exploding aliens, I genuinely was expecting them to show him being absolutely kind of decimated by this guy. I
Bone
was waiting for it.
sticking out of his
Yeah.
corpse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was waiting for it, and I was like, "Ah," I was almost a little bit disappointed, really.
Yeah, it probably
But
wouldn't have
yeah,
surprised me either, to be fair.
but that was yeah. So that was an interesting one. But then, of course, they go back, and then Rose jump, kind of superhuman leaps and pushes him out of the way and saves him. And you know that because the vase is saved instead. But
Yes,
yeah,
it's a metaphor, Jack. The vase is a metaphor for his
I
life.
know, I know. It's mad, isn't it? Not that
And
you
then
can
it
put it back
breaks at
together
the
with
end.
glue.
Spoiler alert.
I know. I can't believe it. It was a nice vase as well. And you know what? I'd have loved to make a clever joke there, but I know naff all about pottery, so I don't. I can't make a good joke. But it is what it is. I really thought she was gonna. They were gonna Marty McFly it. You've seen Back to the Future, yeah?
I have, yeah.
So, of course, Back to the Future, I'm seeing a lot of parallels with this. They go back in time, something goes a bit sideways, they have to undo it all and put it all back together. And of course, Marty McFly, the first thing, his mum, who's a younger version of herself, starts hitting on Marty McFly. And he's
Yeah.
doing everything he can to avoid that. He's like, no, 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 no. And it was when her dad pops around the corner and he just goes, oh, boyfriend troubles, is there? And I was like, oh no.
Well,
So
no, but then he does proceed to hit on her. I've actually got a note. I've actually got a note. How many times have you been rejected the same way that Rose rejected her dad?
Oh mate, I don't, it takes the whole friend zone to another thing. It's a dad zone, not a friend
Doesn't it
zone. It's a dad
just?
zone.
Yeah, doesn't it just?
Oh,
I
but,
love that scene. I thought that was quite. I actually
oh,
really like the relationship between Rose and Pete in this. I think it's done really, really well. Even when he doesn't know, like I don't know, just like that. They mention it at one point. He's like, "Well, why did I trust you? I gave you my keys. I brought you along to this friend." Like
mm,
that. Just, I suppose, yeah. Well, we will never know. But I suppose if you did meet like a grown-up version of a daughter or a son or something, would there be that sort of familial instinct that kicks in? I don't know. It's
I,
quite an interesting thing.
it is an interesting thing, and that's my answer. I just don't know. I'd like to think that if you spent a bit of time, because I can't remember how old they said Rose was, like the baby Rose was. She was only a couple of months, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think she's a newborn pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, she's definitely a newborn, but like you would have thought that if you'd have spent enough time that you may be able to see some kind of similarities or something like that. So you just don't know. But I've got to say, I think you're spot on with the kind of the character rapport between Rose and her dad, and the fact that they could have just gone very boring. This is Rose's dad. This is it. He died. They saved him. That's it. But
Yeah,
they
no,
didn't.
I
They
agree.
made them. They made them very, very similar, and you can tell. And this is going to go far too deep into than it should. But you can tell that Rose has characteristics from both her mum and her dad.
Yes. Yeah,
She
absolutely.
she kind of picks up that kind of cheeky kind of like can do attitude from her dad, and then she gets a kind of adventurous can't say no attitude from her mum. That's
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and we kind of had 50% of the puzzle before this episode, and now we've got the other 50% as well. And it
No,
just
it
shows you,
is.
and again, the power giving you the keys and everything like that. I'm looking back to when the Doctor gave Rose the keys to the TARDIS.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. She's just
That
the girl
that
with
was
daddy
that was only a
issues.
matter of
Yeah.
episodes. Yeah, that was only a matter of episodes. So you kind of she obviously is a very good companion because she kind of radiates that feeling of trust. You know what I mean? And I trust her. I would, But yeah, no, I thought it was very sweet, and again, it just builds the entire episode to the point of where it is revealed that that she is his daughter, and then you're like, right, is she going to break to the point, kind of break the news to him that he's actually dead? He's not alive.
Yeah, and I tell you, there's some fucking good acting in this episode.
Oh,
Like
isn't
just
it
the
just?
whole way through. And I think it's got something to do with the score as well, like the music that underlines some of the key moments. Like the note that I made is when Pete arrives at the wedding and him and Jackie start arguing, and there's Rose is just looking on at her mum and dad, who, in her eyes was this perfect couple because that's how Jackie's always explained it. And they're arguing and they're
Yeah,
fighting. And has he been cheating? Has he not been cheating? All this stuff.
yeah,
It's just, it was fucking like, I put genuinely quite sad in my notes. Like it was,
yeah.
and then like you said, yeah, when he's like, do I go grey? And you see
Oh,
her
don't.
face just drop and excuse me. And then she starts saying, yeah, you read me a bedtime story every night. We did picnics. And he just,
Yeah,
like his face again, it just drops and he goes, that's not me. Like,
yeah.
it's just fucking, it is brilliant.
It's
I
it's
absolutely love it.
perfect.
It
It
really
is.
is.
It
Yeah,
is.
it really is.
No, it really is, and that is the thing where good actors will make. I mean, I know that you can have a good actor with bad writing that pulls the actor down, but the acting in this made this episode.
Yeah,
And
100%. 100%.
it just, if you hadn't have had those actors acting the way they did, you just wouldn't have had that, because there was kind of three stages. You're sitting there, you're thinking, right, what's going to happen to Rose's dad? Then you're like, is Rose's dad going to find out that he is actually Rose's dad? And then
Yeah,
you're like, the third part is he going to find out that he's dead?
yeah,
And just that
exactly.
there is that same level of tension across. It's no kind of, oh, thank God for that, everything's over. Like they we can relax, and it's just you kind of get that full sense of hope. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
oh no,
yeah,
wait, we're back up there, and then you're like, oh, okay, he's found out. Oh, wait, no, he now wants to find out what his future's like, and it is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But
yeah. It's quite relentless, to be fair, as well. Just like,
no, it really
but
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no.
absolutely brilliant. Picking some holes in the episode rather than just fanboying over the entire time. When the Reapers, which are those alien things, I don't think they're named in the episode, but they're called Reapers.
Hmm.
When they
Yep,
attack, right, there's one bit when they're outside the church. Oh, we haven't even spoken about Doctor and Rose breaking up. We'll come back to that. But there's one
yep,
bit where Reapers outside the church. It's making a beeline for the bride, and then it
yep.
must see the priest in the corner of its eye or something because it thinks, oh, fuck me,
Oh,
I'm going to have that kiddie fiddler instead. Like, just out of nowhere, just gives up on the bride and goes, what's
yeah.
that all about?
The funny thing is, I actually put the 80 zoom was back, because the last episode we watched, of course, you had the 80 zoom when Max went down, and I was like, oh yeah, the 80 zoom is back. Just a horror zoom of, that the monster's coming, we're the monster, we're eating the person, and that's what we'd be seeing. And I was just like, oh, that's brilliant. But again, picking holes in it. The other thing I couldn't work out as well is those things made an awful amount of racket when they were attacking the church.
Yeah, yeah.
But they just decided, before they kind of announced themselves, they were just like, yeah, let's just go really silently.
Yeah, let's go tension
It's
mode.
just,
That bit where Mickey's in the park and everyone's
oh,
just like
and that
looking
was
around.
Mickey, by the way. I couldn't believe that was Mickey. I was like, I put in my notes, I was like, is that Mickey? And then, like, literally, it was just like, I think Rose's mum is just like, oh, it doesn't, like, Mickey hug Rose or something like that. And
Yeah, just
Rose's mum goes,
runs. Yeah.
oh, Mickey's taken a light to you. And I was like, no way, that's Mickey. I was like, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was older than her, to be fair. I sort of keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
But
But
right, so question about Mickey. When he's in the park, right?
yeah,
He's wearing a full-on suit, isn't he?
yeah,
Why? But the wedding had already started because the bride has already been and they've said like, oh, you need to go round because there are some guests missing. So was he running late to the wedding, or was he planning on crashing it? Why was he in a suit? I don't understand.
I I got no idea, to be honest. I mean, people wore suits. Like, people just wear suits just because. I mean, the only reason we don't outside of work is because we're not, kind of not rich. But I guess people just wear suits to go out.
Yeah, but
It
not
could have
like a
been an
fucking
80s thing.
3-year-old kid to the park as well. Come on, I just thought. I think that's a bit of a continuity thing. But
Could have been
anyway,
a school.
could no, he's fucking got a chain on.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got like a chain like tucked into his collar where the tie would be.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
I don't
that,
know
that
then.
just bugged me for a minute. Can we talk
Yeah.
about Rose and the Doctor's little breakup thing?
Yes.
Fucking brutal on both of their parts, to be fair. Doctor, like,
Well,
I picked up another stupid ape. And Rosie's like,
yep.
go on then, you'll be back for me. Like, fucking hell. But again, like, I've been in relationships like that. Do you know, like, it's so real, like real family drama. And I think that's what later series of Doctor Who has been missing. Like, a lot of this, you forget you're watching a sci-fi show. I think the good acting between
Well,
Rose and the dad, and Jackie and Pete, and the Doctor and Rose, like it's just brutal. And he takes the key. Was he just going to fuck off and leave her in the 80s?
I don't know. I did think that because I was like, that is a bit strange that he just takes the key back.
Yeah,
But
what's she
then
supposed to do?
I I don't know if that was a kind of heat of the moment thing because I think part of the reason why he flew off the handle was because he realized he cocked up. That was it. It's that he's angry at himself, for kind of putting him in that situation. Because to me, the Doctor seems like a kind of a perfectionist, a self-perfectionist, and he's realized he messed up and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's angry because it's his fault. And then I think that Rose escalates it, and we see why she escalates it because then you look at the argument between her parents
Yeah, yeah.
and the fact that her mum is
She's the
still
same
going after it.
personality,
She's
exactly. Yeah,
still going after it. It's just like it's kind of I can't remember what scene what film it's from, but you know that fight scene where they're kind of the guys on the floor and there's the two guys and they've got the baseball bats and then like there's one he's like he obviously decides that the guy on the floor's had enough and he's like pulling the other guy back and the other guy's still trying to go for him and it's just like I get that's the feeling with kind of Jackie. She's just like I want to carry on going and you see that with
yeah,
Rose in the
yeah.
argument and I think that all right, part of the reason it helps kind of nurture the plot a bit. But I think part of the reason they made that at the start of the episode was to show that Rose is very similar to her parents.
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, and that's really cool structurally.
As I said, it helps the plot, but it helps develop Rose and kind of the story for Rose's parents as well.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it doesn't really help the plot because he does come back pretty much straight away. So yeah, like I hadn't even thought about it like
But
that. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I think it's there to show she's like Jackie. Like, yeah, totally get it because the Doctor does. He comes
into a
pretty much
police
straight.
box.
Oh, how cool was that, by the way? The empty TARDIS.
Ah, that's probably just the prop they use anyway, isn't it?
Well, again, I was reading some interviews. They were going to make it so that he opened the door and it was a traditional police box.
Yeah.
But in classic BBC fashion, they didn't have the budget. So they just used the actual fucking prop that they had, like you said. Yeah. They're like, oh, fuck it,
Oh,
that'll do.
brilliant. That's just incredible.
Yeah, it's quite funny. But right. So, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, mate. Last week, well, it was like 2 weeks ago for us, but last week we had a companion fuck up and the Doctor just abandoned him. This
Yep.
week, we've got Rose fucking up. So two bad companion stories back to back. And I think you actually touched, well, I don't know. Why do you think the Doctor forgives her, but didn't forgive Adam?
That's a good question, actually, because yeah, no, you're right, and the Doctor kind of makes a point of kind of like building on Adam's cock up in the last episode with the click, and I know it's all very childish and everything like that, but that's the kind of point, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe because he knows that him and Rose work well together.
Yeah, it's quite interesting as well just to do two relatively totally different, but relatively similar themes back to back. And I think you touched on it. I think it's this time because he feels responsible. He let it happen. I think that's a huge thing that I
Yeah,
hadn't considered. And then, yeah, I think it's like she's got a proven track record of being a good companion. So it's left ambiguous in the episode. But what are your thoughts? Was this always her intention, JP, to come back and save her dad? Because he even
no,
brings up at one point in the episode, I
he
said it
does.
travels
Yeah,
in
yeah.
space. You said no. I said it travels in time, and you came running. So do you think it was intentional?
No, I don't. I don't think it was. I think it was one of those things that, to me, I think that Rose just wanted a bit of closure because where she'd never, where she was too young to remember her dad, she never got to see him or anything like that. So I think it's a bit of closure.
Okay.
But I still think the fault lies at the feet of the doctor. The doctor should have shown responsibility and gone, look,
Interesting.
you can't do it. Like as much as it's almost like self-sacrifice, really. You kind of you have a level of responsibility. Like the Spider-Man thing. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, yeah,
The doctor has this ability to travel any point in the world, anytime, and he actually makes it himself. He says, do you not think I wish to go back to stop the time war or whatever it was, or stop
yeah,
all,
yeah,
all of
yeah,
my people
yeah,
dying? Because he does have that ability to do it, but he can't because he knows that would mess everything up for everyone else. The great is the greater good, isn't it? And that's what Rose has to learn, I guess. But whether the doctor decided to do it because he thought that it would be a valuable lesson for Rose, or whether he just showed a moment of weakness, I don't know. But I think the doctor's the one to blame for this one.
yeah. Like I said at the start, I think she goaded him into. I think she was like, well, if you can't, then don't worry about it. And then his ego um, sort of kicks up. I think we sort of mentioned it a few episodes ago. Do you feel there's a relationship subtext between Rose and the Doctor, or are you still of the opinion? I think you said that you thought it was quite platonic, and it's not like that. How do you feel after the breakup
Yeah,
scene? After him being like, "No, I'm going to show off for you." We obviously just had last week as well, where, in my opinion, he's showing a little bit of jealousy at Adam, and maybe that's why he turfed him and is being a bit more forgiving to Rose. What are your thoughts on how
I
that's
don't know.
developing?
See, it's difficult because there are certain aspects where you sit there and you think, okay, yeah, you could see that there's an actual relationship building there. And then there's other times, like last episode, where the doctor purposely pulls Rose through the door first to tell her what to say to Adam. Because
Yeah,
let's be real,
yeah,
if you was truly jealous, you wouldn't be trying to wingman your competition. You'd be like, oh yeah, So I just think that I don't know. It's still very 50-50, and I suppose they're trying to go for that kind of that flirtatious relationship, but it's also a professional relationship, but it's also like a father and daughter kind of thing. It's just all mashed into there, and they're kind of showing different parts, and it's going to be interesting to see how they take that further down the line in later seasons.
yeah. No, that's a very good point. Um, yeah, what else have you got in your notes, JP? I've got one here that just says, "Fuck me, he looks strange without his coat on, doesn't he?"
Well, yeah, I mean, apart from that, the only other thing that wasn't strange was Rick Astley in the car. A little bit of Rick
Yes,
Astley
love that.
going along again. The 80s, they're like, look, we've got to put the 80s in, and it was just like, quick, who's brilliant from the 80s? Just get Rick Astley, quick, stick him on the radio.
Yeah,
Um,
what else
uh,
was it gonna be? Come on.
yeah, a very strange. Talking of very strange things, though, why did they kill the priest? They just
That's
he
what
made a
I
beeline
said.
for the priest. I don't know
That
why. It's like I couldn't
no,
work it
but
out.
he was going for the wife, and then he makes a
Yeah,
beeline for the priest. Like, it's so
yeah,
strange.
he's very very strange, but I just yeah, it's it. The interesting thing as well, of course, they then explain what's happening. The doctor comes back into the church, shepherds everybody into the church, and goes, "Oh no, we'll be safe in here." I'm not really. I guess it was a kind of convenient point for the plot. They wanted to be in a church. It was a wedding, all that stuff. But you got these kind of giant space lizard dragon things. Surely you would have thought they'd have got for a bit of glass.
Yeah, the stained glass
I
windows. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, maybe if they'd explained it that it was religious or something like that, that they had
Yeah,
some
this is a
kind of,
holy spot in time. It's going to take them some time to
yeah,
infiltrate. Yeah,
rather
I
than
do get
just,
you. I do get you.
they can't break down the door. It's like, oh, okay, so these like kind of intergalactic, interdimensional beings just can't break down a bit of brick, wood, and glass. It's like, okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, so that was interesting. The other thing I really liked, going back to the Doctor and Rose's relationship,
Yeah,
is Rose asks the Doctor specifically if this is her fault. When they're all huddled in the church and
yeah.
everything, and the Doctor doesn't say yes.
Is this coming back to your he feels responsible theory?
Yeah, he doesn't specifically say yes. I mean, he doesn't also specifically say no either. But and that's again part of the reason I feel like the Doctor is taking responsibility for this, not pinning the blame on Rose.
Yeah. Honestly, I had not thought about this until you brought it up. I think it's a really interesting sort of way of looking at it. Yeah, I think I agree with you, mate. To be honest with you, like because it is his cock, he should have said no. You're right.
Yeah,
What
and that
like he sort of but what would he do if he didn't know the rules of time and had the opportunity to save his planet?
yeah. Well, I mean that's it. I mean, surely at some point he would have. I mean, again, I don't know kind of the early stages of being a Time Lord and everything like that, but surely the first thing you would be doing is going, right, how do I fix all this trauma?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly. You're right.
and it's just, yeah, it's very interesting, very, very interesting. And of course, the only way you can learn from that is by making those mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
actually, I didn't even make a note of this, but at one point when he's talking about these Reapers coming in and sterilizing them, he says, my people would have stopped this. They would not have allowed this to happen. That's like, I totally forgot that line even existed. That's quite a fascinating little, like, because we don't really know
yeah,
what the Time Lords are, what they do, or, anything. And then to have a line like that, they're time police from the sounds of things.
well, that's it. I mean, look, look at it from my perspective, right? What do I know about Doctor Who's people? Well, I know they're all dead because there was a
Yep.
big thing called the Time War, which I now know was against the Daleks, and everybody apart from the Doctor and a Dalek died. That's it. I know that they've got two hearts, and I
Yeah.
know that they can travel through time and space, and they can go anywhere,
I'll be
and
honest,
that's it.
mate. I'm 20 years of Doctor Who lore ahead of you. And I don't think we do know much more than
Yeah,
that.
but that's it. So you don't know if they are kind of, as you say, like some kind of interdimensional police or something like that. You just don't know, do you?
No, exactly. I think maybe from what I can see, it's explained more in Classic Who, but yeah, um, it's very rare that it sort of gets touched on in New Who, to be honest with you. But I love that. And these little hints here and there. Totally forgot that line existed, but I'm totally here for it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Now, talking of lines that you're here for in this episode, we got to then talk about Rose explaining to her dad that she's actually his daughter, and then you've got the awkward thing of her dad going, "Oh, tell me about the future. Do I go grey
Oh, I've
or
got
have
that
I gone
exact
grey?"
same note. Yeah. Have I
Oh,
gone grey? And then he shits himself. Oh, I've gone bald.
I know, and it's
What
just
a
like, oh.
relatable fucking scene. Yeah.
It's just, it's one of those things you kind of, again, it's what I was talking about, that kind of false sense of security us as the viewers get. When he goes, oh, and you think, oh no, he's gonna say, have I died? And then he's just like, oh, don't tell me I've gone bald, and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
huh? And you
It's
just don't know whether to
brilliant.
laugh or not, and you're just like,
I
what do I do?
Yeah, well, as someone that's going bald, JP, I imagine you
Oh
can
shit,
relate quite a lot
you
to
and me
that.
both, mate. Yeah.
No, I'm not going bald. I'm going to have a full head of hair, black hair until the
Oh
down.
no,
No,
I'm
you
I'm
are. I can see.
I'm
I
definitely,
watch
yeah.
your hairline receding every time we
Mm.
fucking talk.
I was to say, yeah, no, we see each other in person probably once a year, and it's just like, it kind of just it's gradually creeping back,
But this is like, it's a very somber episode. It's very heartfelt. It is also very, very funny. You've got
Yeah,
the groom's dad that's like, I knew this day was cursed. You shouldn't be marrying ever. I thought that was quite good. But I wrote down the have I gone bald, have I gone grey, have I gone bald line. Absolutely brilliant. It then got topped for me just towards the end, where Pete is trying to explain to Jackie, and he goes, This is my daughter. And she's like, What do you mean? How young do you have to be? And he goes, No,
yeah.
it's Rose. And she just turns around and goes, Where's my note? How sick is that? Like, I
It's
genuinely
brilliant.
watched on my own. I genuinely laughed out loud. I was like, That is fucking what brilliant writing.
Oh,
That genuinely had me in stitches. I was like, That's
yeah,
a fucking well written line. That's so, because you would. Why would you imagine it's your daughter? You'd be like, Fuck me, you've named your daughter after your other daughter that you
your
had
other daughter,
19
yeah,
years ago. Yeah. And her,
yeah,
honestly,
and
her reaction had me in stitches.
it is brilliant. And again, it goes back to the acting. The way she
Exactly.
delivered that line. You could imagine yourself down the pub in the East End of London, watching that conversation while
Yeah.
kind of what that, or not even a conversation, that argument that's going on in the corner of a pub while you're sitting there on a Friday night. You can
Yes,
imagine
exactly.
being there, and that's why they just deliver it so well. They really do. Which is brilliant.
Funny episode, to be fair. Like, it's got heart, it's got humor. I fucking love it, JP. It's a fucking awesome
It's brilliant.
episode.
It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. And they somehow, with all this going on, they then managed to up the stakes with Rose. This is going to sound really awful, but touching herself.
Oh my god, that was my only thing. He literally shouts at her, "Don't touch
Yeah.
the baby," and
I
I like knowing it's fucking coming as well. You're just like, you've got one
just put,
job.
I was like, oh, she touched the baby.
He
And
touched the
that was it.
baby.
So the Doctor has never been clearer. In the 8 episodes I've watched, the Doctor has
Exactly.
never given clearer, more vital instructions that are so clearly delivered on don't touch the baby. There's no question there. There's no kind of miscommunication or anything like that. It's don't touch the baby.
Yeah, it could not be
And
more
she tou-
clearer.
and she touches the baby. That's it. And it's just
Insane.
yeah. I was but
Insane.
again, yeah, don't. It just, I mean, I suppose looking at it again, you got to make mistakes to learn from them and everything like that. And I guess that's going to be a thing for Rose that she's got to listen to the Doctor. You know, she's going to carry on doing this companion thing. She's got to listen to the Doctor and what he's got to say because, you know, he knows what he's talking about. And this
Yeah,
is all very new
exactly.
to her because why would she know about that?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing else
yeah.
in life that you're never gonna, you know, you're actually gonna know that. So it's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, and it's
But
a totally new experience, bro. So let's talk
yeah,
about sort of how it wraps up then. I totally forgot that everybody comes back at the end. I made a note sort of halfway through that was like, how are they going to deal with? I thought it was going to be like, the
well,
fucking the Thanos snap, the blip in Marvel. I was going to be like, so in the 80s, like these aliens just came and removed half the population. How are they going to address this? But okay, everybody has their mind wiped or forgets about it for some reason, and they all
yeah.
come back. But what about the Doctor and the hotkey? And what did you think of this solution?
Well, that was the thing because again, it's kind of one of the only disadvantages of watching binge watching a series that's got seasons in advance. Because a note I'd put is if I didn't know there was like 7 seasons left, it would have been dramatic. Because
Yeah,
think you know thinking about it, it's just like it had that level of oh my god, what's going to happen? You know, with the key, it was just like suddenly the Doctor gets consumed, and you're like, what's going to happen? How are they going to get out of this? As you say, like at the end of at the end of Endgame, you know, everyone was sitting there going, oh, sorry, at the end of Infinity War, everyone's trying to work out what's
yeah,
going to go on,
yeah.
and you're like, how do they fix it? You know, how do they go about? And I noticed they kept showing the car kind of phasing in and out around the corner,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That
and
was like,
again,
God.
I was expecting Rose and the Doctor to be driving the car again.
Yeah, that's how they close the loop or something like that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, I think yeah, it's a little bit sort of hand wave away. This is what needs to happen, but I think it's really good. I love watching sort of Pete come to the realization as well that this is what I have to do. I know this is it. The Doctor knew all along he was trying to save me, and his goodbye to Jackie and Rose again, just really fucking
Oh yeah.
genuinely moving stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's another episode where the Doctor doesn't save the day.
No, and I think this is probably the first episode that he directly, what I would say, directly causes an issue in the episode.
Yeah, arguably. Yeah, you're right.
Because everything else they've kind of stumbled across, haven't they? There's always been an issue that they've stumbled across.
Yeah.
Whereas this episode is the first one that Rose and the Doctor have done something that's caused and kind of caused this issue to happen.
Yeah, you're right. Hold on to that. That comes back around again in a few episodes.
Really?
Yeah,
Hey, there we
yeah.
go. Right, there we go. Like a stop clock, I write twice a day. There we go. Look at that. I got it right with the dead dad, and I got it right with that. But yeah, no, it's a very no. Now you say that actually again because it is Pete that decides that it's his decision to do that to stop the whole paradox and everything like that. So yeah, on a slightly morbid note, I did put a note saying, imagine if he mistimed it and the car just phased through him.
Yeah, or it doesn't quite kill him and he's just sat there bleeding out for about
He's
two
just like
days. And
mangled, yeah. Oh, I just
well,
imagine that.
God.
I was gonna say it'd have been like that bit. Did you ever see oh, what was it? Was it King Kong Skull Island or something? Not the 2012 King Kong film, but the other one with Tom Hiddleston in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Kong Skull Island,
you know,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah, Kong Skull Island. That's it. You know the bit with the guy with the grenades, and he comes up and he goes for that dramatic death, and he's just like, yeah,
And he
yeah,
just
and
gets
then he just
flicked to the side, yeah.
yeah. I was waiting for that. I was just waiting for that. I was like, oh no, okay, no, they've killed him. They've killed him. But
Well, here's a
again,
question. What would have happened if the Reapers hadn't got him? Do you think
I
because
thought that
he's
as
been
well.
removed, would it reset?
I
Or did he
don't
have
know.
to die by getting hit by the car, do you reckon?
Well, because the thing is the doctor says that they won't stop until everything's erased.
So you think it wouldn't have mattered if they'd have got him?
No, I don't think it would have mattered. I think they would have just carried on erasing the whole timeline, and that would have been it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
But
don't
because
know.
he
It
died,
crossed my mind. Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean it's a fair point. But the way I read it is he had to die by that car for everything
Yeah.
to go back to normal.
Okay. Fair enough. Makes sense. Yeah. Closing the
So
paradox loop.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
No,
But
fair enough.
yeah, no, I mean, look, as everybody listening can probably tell, this has been my favorite episode so far. This
Oh,
is
really?
everything I thought Doctor Who would be. It's a messy time paradox that's it's got everything in it. As I said, it reminds me of Back to the Future. It reminds me a bit of Star Trek. It's got that moral dilemma. It's got the kind of that dark humor with just that's delivered absolutely perfectly, and it's got those really kind of tough scenes that us as the audience know what's going to happen, but the characters don't, and you're waiting for that. And yeah, no, by far this is my favorite episode I've watched so far.
Oh, wow. I love that. So love it or hate it, JP?
Oh, love it for sure, definitely. I know I've said love it for all of them, but this has been my favorite episode so far.
Hey, I love that. Yeah. It's definitely a love it for me as well. I mean, it's a fucking good episode. I've sort of don't do this, but I've taken a look ahead as well just to see what episodes are coming up. And we are in like as good as it gets now. Just to give you an idea of the IMDb ratings, next week is a
Hmm.
two-parter. They're both rated 9. Then there's a little
Oh,
bit of a dip in quality. It's 7.1, but it's one of my favorite episodes. And then we've got the
okay.
final two-parter, which is 8.6 and 9 as well. So get involved because the next 3 weeks is going to be two-parter, one-parter, two-parter. We're going to finish off the season,
Oh.
and they're pretty much all 9-star episodes now, mate.
We are. It sounds like we are in for an absolute kind of Goliath. Just, you got to come back to the UK. We just got to watch them together. We'll just watch them together at the same TV, and we'll just be like, yeah, let's just watch them. But I can't. I didn't realize that the next one's a two-parter as well. So I'm assuming if everyone's happy that we'll do the two-part together. Is that the plan?
Yeah, we'll do that again. So just before we start talking about next time, some miscellaneous notes, right? If you
Mm.
ever do rewatch this episode, and for people that are listening, when Rose and the Doctor walk out of the TARDIS for the first time in 1980, there's a weird, like it sounds like there's a party on, like there's this weird music playing, but it's never revealed to be any. I don't know. I was watching it on iPlayer. I'm not sure if my TV was fucked or something. But so if you've noticed that and you're listening, can you write in and let me know? It's very strange. Did you pick up on it, JP?
No, I didn't. I reckon you got loud neighbours.
Really? No, no, because I actually paused it to make sure it was the TV. Like that's how out of place it was, and it did. It paused with the telly, and I was like, "This is very strange. Never noticed that before."
That's
Um,
strange.
what else have I got here? Yeah, I really thought it was going to be the Thanos snap. And at one point, Pete says there's smoke coming up from the city. It must be happening all over the world. Presumably, all of these people just snapped back into existence like Endgame. Like, if there's fires and stuff, are they like, what the hell is going on? Or do you think buildings and
Uh,
stuff got repaired? Like, what do you think
I
happened there?
Yeah, no, I think it got repaired. I got the feeling because again, while I'm watching this episode, I'm fully aware that Loki season 2, they're dropping trailers left, right, and center. And again, I love Loki. It's no
Yeah,
surprise. This
yeah,
this episode is very Loki was very mirrored very, very closely with this kind of paradox,
yeah.
timeline repair, and everything like that. And the kind of the one thing I took from it at the end was, they have those timeline charges that they use.
The stick thing, the prunes.
No, not the prunes. They put down these little canister things, and then it kind of you get this like kind of energy wash thing that goes over.
Oh, yes.
I got the feeling it was kind of like that, where it just everything that shouldn't have happened, or that happened
Okay,
in
okay.
that bit that's after the event, then gets erased. And don't ask me where or space magic, but that's the way I took it. I mean, it could be wrong, but that's the way I was looking at it. I was like, okay, it's all been erased because that shouldn't have happened, and that's a part of the
Yeah,
timeline that's
yeah,
been
yeah. I love
cut off.
it. Okay, okay, yeah, very interesting. Um, the Reapers never return. I don't know if that's gonna raise
Oh,
any
really?
questions for you. Yeah, this is the first and only appearance we ever have of them. And don't get me wrong, there's a shit ton of paradoxes coming up in Doctor Who, but they never
But
come
they never.
back. Yeah. I mean, we
Huh.
can actually, so what we're going to start doing on Spotify now, I don't know if we can do it on any other platforms, but we can put a Q&A. So I'm going to put that as a question. Would you like to see the Reapers come back? Do let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts now because I think they're a pretty
Yeah.
good villain, you know.
Well, I wouldn't even say they were a villain. I just would say they're a necessity, like a train
Yeah,
inspector.
yeah.
They're all right, or a traffic warden, or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, they're not necessarily evil, but nobody say it's going to buy them a Christmas present or something like that. But I
No,
wouldn't have
good
said they were
point.
villains. But then you would
Um,
expect them to come along. For, especially if you're saying there's further paradoxes, you would have expected them to be coming back. But maybe
yeah,
that's just
exactly.
lazy writing. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah, who knows? The only other real note that I've got on the episode is Rosie's dad was actually supposed to be Simon Pegg. And not to
No,
spoil anything for you, JP, but the reason Simon Pegg took the other role is because he didn't want to sign on to a long-term contract.
really.
Yeah, there you go. Just gonna drop it and leave it at that.
Oh, damn. So apparently the actor that they wanted to play Rose's dad, they killed him off and then went have a long-term contract.
Well, exactly.
Such mysteries. I like that.
Such
That's quite cool.
mysteries. Yeah. The only other
Yeah.
thing that I found interesting, I was going through the trivia section on IMDb, and Rose calls her dad, uh, "You're a bit of a Del boy." And
Yep.
when they made the Only Fools and Horses prequel thing, did you ever watch that?
What one's the
I think
Rock
it's
and
called like
Chips or something
Rock.
like that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he
Yeah.
plays Del
No, never
Boy's
seen it.
dad
Yeah.
in Rock and Chips. Yeah.
No way, really.
There you go. Yeah. I loved
That's
Rock
quite
and
cool,
Chips. I
actually.
thought it was quality. Yeah.
No, see, I never watched it.
I thought it wasn't as good as Only Fools and Horses. And they get like whatever Rodney's actor's name to come and play Rodney's dad. So Rodney's in it,
Yeah.
but as an old man, but it's his dad, but it's the same actor. It's very confusing. But
Yeah.
I remember it being an all right show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, give it a watch if you can find it anywhere. But
Yeah.
anyway, we
No, for sure.
digress. We've gone off on a tangent
Back to
again.
Doctor Who. Yeah.
Next time
Another
trailer.
BBC classic. Oh man. Oh, I've got questions left, right, and centre on this one.
So highly regarded as the best episodes of Doctor Who of all time. The next two-parter. It's
Hmm.
Stephen Moffat's first writing credit for Doctor Who later goes on to be showrunner through Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi's term. Um,
Hmm.
what did you think of the trailer?
I mean, look. First things first. I'm assuming that's World War Two. There's planes. There's bombings. It looks like London. Every time you see London with the kind of the light and everything like that,
And the
kind of with the
blimps on top of
searchlights,
it. Yeah,
you got to assume it's World War Two.
yeah.
So that's it. The second thing, I mean, what is up with the creepy gas mask peoples? I mean,
Ooh.
damn, that's proper. Like, I mean, you kind of you always hear of like, kind of stories in London, Jack the Ripper, the what do they call it? It was the blackout murders as well, everything like that. It was always that kind of written in the law to scare kids. Always make sure that you're in a group when kind of when the blackout was happening and everything like that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
just seems that you could almost see that was a legend that was written and then Doctor Who took inspiration from that. That almost to
Oh,
me seems like a
interesting
thing that
take.
would
Yeah, 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 yeah,
that
yeah.
would happen. You know what I mean? Like kind of like a thing like the Hound of the Baskervilles, or I don't know.
Yes.
I'm just trying to think of other legends really. About things like I don't know, Frankenstein's monster maybe as a legend. I don't know,
I
but
guess so. Yeah,
something like
yeah, yeah.
that. So that was
Loch
quite
Ness
cool. I like that.
monster. Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so stuff like that. And then the final question I've got, which I think is probably the biggest one, is that a second Doctor?
Oh, it'll prove your theory's true if it is, JP, won't it?
It would. Yeah, no, it would. Because, I mean, no idea if it isn't a doctor, what the guy is. He just could be an alien or something. But yeah, no, I got a lot of questions and he just looks so cool. And
Well,
I'm so down for it.
you've certainly been calling that for a while. So if that comes full swing, you will be a very happy man.
I will be. I will be. That'll be the second thing I've got right, and the only two things I've got right so far in this watch through. But you know, I'm 1 for 1 at the moment.
Yeah, to
Discounting
be
the other.
fair, the other
Which is-
100 things that you've got wrong.
yeah, look, I'm on a streak, all right. I'm on a one hit streak at the moment. I'm now going for two. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
dear me.
that looks good. That definitely looks good. And I think I remember at school as well, because these came out while we were in primary school, and I think I remember kids talking about them in primary school as well.
Yeah, I imagine you've probably heard me and Brad sort of quoting this as well. Like, yeah, honestly, this is, again, let's not get into it. We'll save it for next week. I'm not sure I like these episodes. I'm quite excited to rewatch them. I always skip over them for some
Really?
reason. So, but
Is it
they
because you're a
are,
bit of a scaredy cat or something?
no, I won't say any, I won't say mine just because I don't want to sort of cloud your judgment before we go. But like I said, they're both, considering it's a two-parter, one is normally rated more than the other. They're both 9-star episodes. So I'm
Yeah,
very excited to go back and see what I've been missing. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps us up for today, doesn't it, JP?
I think that does. Yeah, I think that's it. As I said, this Father's Day definitely my favorite. Kind of my favorite episode so far.
Yeah, do you know, I think it's up there for me as well. Like I said, at the end of the series, we'll do an episode ranking or something like that. We'll really go into it. But yeah, it's definitely up there. But thanks for listening, guys. We are actually going to be doing a recording session with Raquel. So that'll be a little bonus episode that comes out in between this one and the next two-parter that me and JP are going to do this time next week. But yeah, I think that wraps us up. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for all of your engagement. We want to hear from you. Email us, comment, like, subscribe, whatever it is that you do. Keep them coming, guys. We really, really appreciate it. A bit of on more of a personal note as well. Bradley Fuller picked the name Doctor Who with a question mark, and it basically fucks us on the algorithms on Spotify and Apple, and it takes us for ages to find it. So really, the only way we're getting new listeners is by you guys sharing, recommending us to your friends, and rating us. So the followers are going up every week. So we're really, really grateful that you guys are doing that, and we just ask that you continue to do so. Like, you're a fab community where we want to stay engaged as much as possible. So yeah, because Bradley Fuller cocked up our name, you have to leave us a review. That's the leaving note that we're going to depart with.
We'll catch you later. Thank you all.
Adios, amigos.